Hello and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Today on the program, Chief of Defense Staff tax security agencies to drop ego, rivalry, calls for synergy to secure Nigeria as Aisha Buhari calls for new strategies to stem worsening insecurity. PDP wants Supreme Court to review judgments on 2019 presidential election. And later on the show, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission direct discos to stop estimated billing system. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade-Otitoju and Olayinka Oyegbile. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us once again. An unusual ailment requires an unusual method for treatment. This appears to be what is needed to check insecurity in Nigeria. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Abayomi Olonishakin, believes the synergy and effective collaboration among security forces are imperative for securing the country. He urged security forces to drop unnecessary ego and rivalry, but work together to secure Nigeria. The wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, is also towing the same line. The First Lady says bigger threats lie ahead if security agencies fail to devise new strategies to tackle insecurity in the country. Babajide, this is a new dimension to it, and we know from time, we know how important for these security agencies to work together. We saw the lapses in America during 9/11. Yeah. The security agencies in America before that time weren't sharing intel. Some of them had the premonition that 9/11 was going to happen, but they didn't have this. There was this inter-agency rivalry. What is normally responsible for that? I know it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone.
Yes, it's just ego, and it happens when those security agencies, the leaders of the security agencies, have ambitions. For example, if some of them are eyeing the position of Chief of Defense Staff,
the position of
yes, in the past we've had someone move from Chief of Air Staff to Chief of Defense Staff. Yeah. We've had someone move from Chief of Army Staff to Chief of Defense Staff. So a service chief will think that, look, that position is meant for me. So that could lead to rivalry between the service chiefs. One would think we're trying to position himself for that position ahead of the other. And when that one sees that clearly, oh, this person is after that job, he too will be making moves, all kinds of moves to be considered by the person who takes the decision to be the Chief of Defense Staff. And then you want to be praised rather than the collective getting praised. And individual things like, okay, if I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I will get all the praise. I will get greater praise than the person that I see as my rival. This is what leads to unnecessary rivalry within the security agencies. If we can agree to work together, the DSS, the police, the army, the Air Force, the Navy, if they all work together, all the people who lead those arms of Nigerian security, if they agree to work together and put their egos aside, put their political ambitions aside, because they are not defeating insecurity, yet they have all kinds of ambitions. If they can put all of that aside, we will win and work together, we will win this war, because there are conditions that should enable us to even win this war. The group is divided. They are killing one another. I was talking about a new leader for Boko Haram, for ISWAP, Idris. The information that we are getting is that even Idris has been murdered.
So quick?
Yes. Within his own group. Abu Musab al-Banawi had been removed. And this person made acting leader. But Abu Musab al-Banawi is already has left with some of his guys.
How many factions do you have now?
They can't be less than 4 or 5 now. So Shekau is there with his own people. So it is a divided fighting group. We should be able to exploit the opportunity and cause a lot more disharmony amongst them.
Infiltrate them.
Infiltrate them. And the DSS are the best trained to do that. And then ensure that we get what we want. But if we two are working at cross purposes, because I do not believe that we can achieve anything if the Air Force just goes on its own bombing missions. You go there, you bomb, you kill those people, and the army are not on ground to put boots on ground in the areas that you have secured. Because that's the way the Americans do it. You soften the ground for the surface troops, as the foot soldiers are called, and then the surface troops move into that location. They secure it. The enemy can't take it back. But if you bomb that critical location, you slaughter them, then you go away. They are likely to come back to the same place. If the place is of interest to them, if it's a kind of supply route, they will go back there. So everywhere that the Air Force softens up, the surface troops must move in there and hold that position. That is it. If we do not do that, you'll find the army retaking a location 2 or 3 times. When you take that location, you go, they come back. So that's the thing.
Yeah. When you look at, let's say, even what you see, what you notice between the military, the army, and even the police, you know, for internal security, what do you think? Do you think we don't have synergy?
Well, you see, with what the Chief of Defense Staff has said, it has become clear now that the chickens are coming home to roost. This has been said several times on the streets, on the pages of newspapers, on radio, and everywhere, that there is rivalry among all the security agencies. But it has been denied, or they pretend as if they didn't hear or they didn't read about all this. But with the Chief of Defense Staff's statement now, we've seen clearly that what people have been saying is happening. And it is very unfortunate, because in all this, what should happen is that there should be no rivalry at all. The important thing is to see themselves as comrades. Whether you are a policeman, you are a military man, you are a naval officer, or whatever, all of them, there's only one goal, and there's only one thing they want to fight: terrorism and insurgency. They should all cooperate together and help us to defeat this. But in a situation where the army thinks is more superior to the navy thinks we have to do the area bombing before you can come in, so we are better than you. I mean, it gives rooms for all those rivalry, and that is exactly where the problem lies. With the Chief of Defense Staff coming out to say that now, what we will expect is that all the service chiefs and all the arms of the security agencies will come together and decide that, look, this is a common threat to us and to our nation. And our confidence, or our ability to curb this insurgency is on the line. We must bury all forms of rivalry and come to an agreement that, look, it doesn't matter. The Yoruba will say whether a woman, if a man sees a snake and a woman kills it, the important thing is that for the snake not to escape. So the important thing for all the security agencies to do now is all the security chiefs need to sit down. All those who make decisions at the troop level, at the whatever level, they need to sit down and talk about it. That, look, this is a common enemy. Let us first of all defeat this enemy. Then we can talk about who is much more superior and all that.
Julie, let's talk about
that. Is important.
Let's talk about Intel now. What they have going for them in some other civilized, developed countries is that the level of intel the citizens share with their security agencies, and that is their strength. That's how they get most of this information. But Nigerians often we are kind of hostile because of environmental factor around us to these people. People would prefer to harbor Boko Haram in those remote areas in the northeast. So what's the role of Intel here on sharing Intel with these security agencies?
Of course, it's important, and the chief of air staff admitted last week that they regularly get intel from the civil populace. The truth is, it may not be as much as we expect. It is because that culture. You talk about foreign countries, America and all that. When people get old, up to the point that they no longer work, they become army boss for the state. There's nothing going on in their area that they will tell the government. Yeah. My mom, when my mom was reading for her first degree and master's at Ohio University in the US in the early 80s, she told me that one day she and her friend, they went to buy lamb in the market. They bought the lamb and brought it home to slaughter. Whereas it's against the laws of their country. You must slaughter it right there. Yes. You can't bring it to residential area. To come here. So cruelty. I hope she's not watching me. You see, she probably thought that this was Nigeria. So when as soon as she got inside, the landlord said, you brought this thing into your residence, you can be sure that within minutes the police will be here. So what my mom and her friend then did was to push the lamb into the toilet, and then they poured salt in his mouth.
What happened?
So that
it won't be able to bleed. Okay. So, and the truth is, when you know they trust you, they trust you absolutely when you just tell them even what is false with a straight face. They are very trusting. So the moment those policemen knocked on the door, they knew that they will come. They have been told that they will come. So they already invented the lie to get out of jail. So as soon as they came in, they said, we understand that you brought in a lamb to your residence. She said, yes, but the landlord told us to take it back. If we do not take it back, you people will be here. So we decided to take it back. No, they took it back. They decided to take it back. As soon as those people turned their back, they reached for the kitchen carving knife. And the kitchen carving knife went to...
You see how to cut
So that's the thing. You even see it in movies. You know, from the observatory of their homes, they will be watching what is going
your
on.
Clothes, and check your height, check everything.
We have
description.
We have to build that in our people. But what usually happens is, especially with the police, people give information, bad eggs in the police.
It's the police that
you know that my uncle, Faleke, is in a street where he lives. There was an uncompleted building. And one policeman, stupid policeman, will come in his uniform to come and smoke Igbo there. Back then, I don't know whether they finally completed that house. So now, imagine giving walking into a police station to say that there's a place where people smoke. He that is one of them.
Uniform.
He that is one of them. Won't he be the one to go and expose you? No, so that is the thing. Bad eggs in the security agencies are the problem. People cannot take unnecessary risk, expose bad people in their areas, only for those bad people to, after being detained, you know, they will now come and kill that person. You know, so this is the thing. Until our people develop absolute faith and confidence in these security agencies, the level at which they will provide information.
Cooperation.
You know, we've seen Boko Haram slaughter informants now of the army, and they will make a public show of it. So people, they have to be careful.
To serve as deterrents.
Yes.
That your government...
If you are providing information to someone who is on the payroll of Boko Haram, you don't know what will happen. What? On the Kaduna Abuja Expressway, the IG, the former IG, had to transfer policemen en masse from that area because he was sure
that they were working.
That some of them will be looking into vehicles and provide information for kidnappers. And they are permitted to check your vehicle, look into yes, who is the big man who is inside this jeep.
Can you identify yourself?
So that is the thing. So I really can't blame our people who will not want to give information.
In fact, the onus is on the security agencies to restore people's confidence. For instance, there's hardly any police station you go to that you will not see police is your friend. But people sniff at it and say, oh, even when a policeman talks to you and he
tries to build confidence.
You will not trust him.
Like bail is free.
Exactly. So the onus is on them. As Babajide has said, there have been cases where armed robbers go to a particular building and they will confront their victim and tell them that we heard that you are the one that reported us to the police. How did they know? How did they know a particular person? So that is why today, even when we see crime being committed, everybody's, I don't want to die. Nobody will talk. So until that confidence level is restored and built by the security agencies, there's nobody that will give them information. In a community, you know people who smoke, you know people who don't work, you know people who, when everyone is at work, they're at home. When everybody's coming back home, they are going out. And
that's the way they function over
exactly. There. So, but you know that in this case, they will not give information. We were talking recently. When you travel abroad, any community you enter into, immediately they know that a strange person is here. Yeah. If the neighbor is friendly with your host, one of those days he will just, hello, I saw that you have a guest. Who is it? You know, they will exchange information. And that is all. But here, whether my neighbor has a guest or not, I don't care. Everybody just maintain his lane, as we say in the street lingo. So, on the security agencies also have to build confidence to make sure things change.
Jide, on the final notes, I saw this clip now. The president holding his regular meeting with his service chiefs. So I saw the Inspector General of Police, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, and Chief of Air Staff. And what will be going on? I don't know what was going on in my mind. Was like, okay, were they telling Mr. President, briefing Mr. President, what is on ground and the troops? Because I've had to see video. I don't know the timeline of those videos, as in the timing of those videos. And soldiers in the theater of war saying, we are not giving anything, we don't have anything. Yeah. People are dying. I don't know, the one I showed you last, I don't know when it was shot, but I've seen several videos like that. So, do you think Mr. President knows what exactly is happening in the theater of war?
He deserves to know. But from some of the comments that the president makes, I have my doubts that he knows enough. I have my doubts because the president has gone abroad before to say, look, there's no Nigerian territory in the hands of Boko Haram. And I can give him so many places that Boko Haram,
several times.
That's just one local government.
One local government.
That's just Goza. That's just Goza, you know. So he says that the truth is, it should be tougher on the people who work for him. Even the president's wife has suggested that, look, you gave these people a job to do. If they can't do the job thoroughly, then let them go. But I do not know what they talk about that meeting because I've not been privileged to get into those meetings. But you will see, you are talking about welfare. The president's wife, too, talked about the need for welfare of soldiers. what we hear is, oh, soldiers complaining that Air Force personnel get paid better than them and all that. Some of those issues have to be addressed. You can't have the bureaucracy ensuring that soldiers don't get paid on time, as it happened in January. They were not paid on time. The salaries slipped into the following month. We must avoid that situation. Yes. I've been told that the chief of army staff sometimes have to go and borrow money by himself. If I'm lying, TY, the chief of army staff should tell us that he will go to borrow money just to pay before they release money. And people are at war. You made them suffer.
That's unacceptable.
Yes. So I'm happy that the wife of the president has said that the issue of welfare must be addressed. There's no way we can run away from that.
Okay, I have Ibrahim. Ibrahim is calling us from Lokoja. Thank you for joining us, Ibrahim.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ibrahim.
Mr. Babajide, Ayodele, and the other uncle.
Olayinka.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, please, my contribution, you see, this issue of Boko Haram, it has been quite long. We have been having this problem. Nigeria has money to buy any type of sophisticated weapon for their military and other security to fight those people. And yet, all those things are still happening. So, I beg, my contribution is, let our security chiefs, let them come together, National Security Advisor, President, let them join hands. Don't you know that they are killing every blessed day? We are all human beings. Because this thing, I did not see truth in this thing. Because in a country, very rich country like Nigeria, the weapons that Boko Haram are coming to face our people with are more sophisticated than our own. And we are a country, a whole Nigerian, that have money to do everything on this earth. So please, let our leaders have sympathy. Let them have fear of Almighty God. Because all the leadership they are giving to us today, tomorrow, they should remember that they must give their account in the front of God. Oh.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you for your contribution. Before you start, someone. But the bottom line is that they don't have access to air power. Why are we finding it difficult to capitalize on this and
because they are very mobile. They are very mobile. They don't stay in one place. If Shekau had been staying in one place, by now they will have killed him. They are very mobile, and that area, the topography of that area favors them. The terrain, they understand the terrain more than the troops, so they are constantly moving. Once you discover the place where they hide, they move to another place. The areas that they are playing around with is huge. It's huge. You look at a local government like Kukawa local government, Borno State. It's bigger than the biggest state in the southeast. Another local government like what's this one again? Where those oil workers were killed the other day. It's also bigger than the biggest state in the southeast. Maybe I'll remember the name later. You know? So that is the thing. It's a very big place. And then you have Sambisa, 6.5% of Nigerian land mass. So how many places will you bomb? They are constantly moving around. So that's why it's such a problem.
All right. Still to come. PDP wants... Magumeri. Okay, I used to help that. All right. PDP wants Supreme Court to review judgment on 2019 presidential election. We'll be right back after this breather. Please stay with us. It's Journalist Hangout, your award-winning program. Taming the bandwagon effect has been a Herculean task for Nigerians since time immemorial. The latest is the growing clamor for the Supreme Court to review its judgments on various election litigation in the country. It's coming from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The party, through its publicity secretary, Kolade-Otitoju, said it is approaching the Apex Court for a review of the judgment of the 2019 presidential election between President Muhammadu Buhari and ATIKU Abubakar. It is also calling for the review of the governorship elections in Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, and Osun states. Gentlemen, when this started in Imo states, this is exactly what you call a bandwagon effect. I thought that was the last I'm going to hear. Then APC too went to courts for Bayelsa states. After Bayelsa states, the next day, Kwakwanso said they are going to, that's Kano. They are going to go to the Supreme Court. And now we now have this. For me, Jide, don't you think this is a very, very dangerous signal to the credibility of the Supreme Court?
Yes, it is.
I think this is the first time.
The Supreme Court has the duty to restore his honor by not just giving the right judgment, but by punishing lawyers who are working with politicians to turn the Supreme Court to a political arena. I mean, what's going on is irresponsible, to say the least. Look at cases that have been decided many months ago.
Yeah, presidential election.
Yes, and you know that the law says that within 60 days of the decision of the appeal court, the Supreme Court must give judgment.
Those cases that
anything outside of that, the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court has been taken away. And there are cases in which even the lawyers were punished for asking for a review outside of that time ceiling.
Yeah.
Once the appeal court gives that judgment, within 60 days, the Supreme Court shall look at it. You file your appeal, the Supreme Court shall look at it and give its own judgment. Anything outside of that time ceiling, the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction to entertain. And the Supreme Court in the past had refused to review such matters brought before them, citing lack of jurisdiction. It's there. But our people are now harassing the judges of the Supreme Court. Oh, review this, review that. Now, even matters that they had already resigned to fate, that they didn't think that, okay, there's any need to review. We are now, because this is
ATIKU versus Buhari,
this is
election.
A season of the ridiculous, they are now going back and asking. So what do we want to turn the Supreme Court to? To a laughing stock? Yes, mistakes will be made because they are human.
Yes.
We have to admit that. But because it's the Supreme Court, you do not expect them to go back and then look at a matter that they had decided. If you overturn your own judgment in respect of one matter, I can tell you the pressure will be piled on you to do it for another party.
Of course.
If it favors the APC, the PDP will ask that you take a decision that favors it.
So we will now know that
what kind of precedent is that?
We are semi-final.
That we are not sure that.
We are not sure that's not the final.
Oh, it's the semi-final stage.
Yes, we now review.
The final can still come.
The final can still come.
You know, before the same. So the Supreme Court should then be addressed as an appeal court.
No, I'm telling you.
If it is no longer the final court.
Yes.
If it is a court that will look at its own matter again.
Yes.
And then start afresh, then it is an appeal court. This is, in all my years of growing up in our country, I've never seen anything like this. And it says a lot about the quality of politicians and the extreme greed for power that our politicians suffer from without knowing it. Because someone can be suffering from an ailment without even knowing.
Somebody told me on Facebook, somebody said, look, I should bet it. Emeka Ihedioha is coming back. Come March, that Supreme Court, it will upturn itself.
It's the same way that people are saying about the Villion. That the Villion matter will be resolved in his favor. You would think that they sit in the same homestead with these judges and decide with the judges.
Are you kidding me?
You know, the whole thing has been turned into an absurdist theater. And you just ask yourself and wonder, what exactly is going on? In those days, there used to be, when writing on all these trucks used to be fancy. You know, there's one that write God's case no appeal. With all modesty and how do I put it now? I equate the judgment of the Supreme Court to that kind of a thing, that God's case no appeal. If the Supreme Court gives a verdict, there's no appeal. But now we are turning the Supreme Court into a theater, a physical theater that people will just come with. How can you? Now, the APC that is criticizing PDP for asking for a review in Kano, Kaduna, and the rest of them. The same APC is in the appeal court and in the Supreme Court
For Zamfara.
And
yeah.
Bayelsa. So what exactly are we talking about? If a case favors me,
Victory for democracy.
exactly. If it doesn't, I say democracy
Democracy
is in danger. We fought for it. Some people didn't fight. No. In politics, and even in life generally, things cannot go the way you design it.
Yes.
All of us that are
Always
alive
have
today,
your way.
when we were growing up, and we were thinking of when we grow, when we become men and fathers and so on, was this the way we thought our life would turn out to be? Perhaps it has turned out better than we thought, or not as rosy as we thought. So that's the way life is. Life comes in processes. If you win today and lose tomorrow, you cannot win every time. But our politicians, they've ridiculed the politics. They now want to extend it to the judiciary, which is the last hope of the common man.
Jude, you mentioned when you started, you mentioned
Yes.
the lawyers. Because these are major corporates. Because if you call your clients and the lawyers are saying, look, I cannot file this. This is abuse of court process.
Yes.
I cannot do it. But this SAN, they want to continue to make money from their client, and they will just tell them, look, okay,
You have a
let's
good
try it.
case.
That's why I agree absolutely with what Keyamo has said, that it's about time that the Supreme Court descended on lawyers. Lawyers filing frivolous matters before it. It's about time. The Supreme Court must show strength in these matters. Because this will not stop. Even where the Supreme Court gives an excellent, I'm not saying those judgments were excellent.
Yes.
You know,
It's
we have
just
to admit that some of them there were mistakes.
Yes, but
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do.
Yes, but there have always been mistakes in judgment.
Of course.
Definitely.
There have always been mistakes.
They are human.
I said it last week. I said I do not believe, for example, that Awo planned the coup.
Yeah.
But he was jailed all the same. He was jailed. And it was his own brother that read the judgment. But nobody filed an appeal before the Supreme Court that jailed him. Despite how important Awo was at that time, and the biggest lawyers in our country were from the Southwest.
Yeah.
They let him go to the jail. And then Gawan brought him out and made him a finance minister. You know? So the truth is, I agree absolutely with Keyamo. The Supreme Court needs to descend. I've seen a big lawyer in Kogi State was punished for filing this kind of matter before the Supreme Court. And was punished. So the Supreme Court must punish judges who file, lawyers who file frivolous petitions. I see when you know that the time ceiling has taken jurisdiction out of the hands of the Supreme Court. Why are you filing the matter?
So why is the Supreme Court even giving them dates? Entertaining
Exactly. Even with the...
No, it will give them date, but it will go ahead and do what it thinks is right. Didn't your former Senior Special Assistant on Domestic Affairs, Anduba, didn't he ask the Supreme Court to review his own case? Did they listen to him? They didn't listen to him. They abused his lawyer. You know? So it will always happen. Judges will sometimes deliberately prolong cases I mean, lawyers. I don't know why I'm calling lawyers judges.
Lawyers.
The lawyers will deliberately prolong cases. As we had the Jagedes matter just before the Ondo election. But the lawyer was punished. I'm aware that the lawyer was punished for wasting the time of the court. So it's the Supreme Court that should do what is right. And I've warned them, I've warned those babas and mamas in the Supreme Court that they should run away from politicians because politicians will damage them mortally. Some of them will come out, they will retire, they won't be able to work in public because they need to run away from politicians. That is the greatest guarantee that they will give even-handed judgment. Judgment that does not favor anyone. That is the so. I once told you the story of a former Chief Justice of Federation from Niger State that a governor wanted to bribe. The man now said, "Come along." He took him to the cemetery. He said, "You see, this is where my mind is. I know that we'll end up here very soon. I don't need the money that you brought to me. I'm already thinking of one day when I will end up here. Take your money away." That's what I expect from judges. And we've had great judges, incorruptible judges, like Aniagolu and the rest of them. I always talk about him, because Aniagolu, when he was even working in Calabar, they tried to bribe him. They didn't succeed. Because he said it that, look, judges are the representatives of God on earth. One day you are going to meet your maker. If you are taking money from this, from that, politicians will destroy you. Politicians have no qualms destroying people. They even destroy themselves. So run away from them. When you run away from them, then give judgment that show clearly that you are objective.
That they may not agree with you, but they will know that you have done your best.
Yeah, you've done your best. You've done the right thing.
Yes,
that's what you want. And judgments that have little or no error margin. Because whether we like it or not, there are errors. There are errors in some of these
errors. Even those of us who are not lawyers, the only law, the little law I know is communication law, which you study as a mass communication student. But those who are lawyers, who read law and know the laws of the country, even a law student 101, a first-year law student, one of the first things I know they will teach them is the issue of exactly. They know that when the Supreme Court pronounces a judgment, that is the end.
You have nowhere else to go.
There's nowhere else to go. So why should judges continue to? Why should judges continue, or the Supreme Court continue to allow senior advocate of Nigeria? You know what it means to be a senior advocate? That means so. If you make an example of one or two of them by derobing them for that, they will know what they are doing.
Within the 4 walls of that court, disgrace one of them.
Or derobe them. Suspend them.
Make an example of one of them. This whole thing will
not allow the Supreme Court.
I have Olawale from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Wale.
Yeah, Steve.
Good evening,
Wale.
Yeah, good evening, Ayo.
Yes.
Good evening, long time, Abba.
My encyclopedia, good evening.
We miss you.
Long time, I couldn't pick you people because they did not connect me. Good evening, anyway.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I think Nigeria should, the judiciary should try and redeem their image and make sure that the politicians don't destroy our judiciary in Nigeria. Politicians are like leopards. It's better you don't move near them at all.
Yes.
Because how can you ask for a review of judgment that has been done on the basis of established law? So, and as somebody said, the man on the right, Oyegbile, look, they must make an example of one of the so-called political senior advocates of Nigeria.
Yes.
They are dining and whining with the politicians. So let them maintain their distance from politicians. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Wale. Thank you for calling. I'll take this breather. When we come, we reach home stretch. When we come back, stay with us. Welcome back. And finally, more troubles loom in the power sector in Nigeria. The Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has directed the various electricity distribution companies, or DISCOs, to stop estimated billing system for consumers. The order takes effect from the 20th of February 2020. That's the first from Jide. I don't think we met the halfway quarter of the people that they have this prepaid meter. So in the absence of prepaid meter, they'll be giving you estimated billing. And to manufacture this prepaid meter, the way they've been ordering it, is a lot of people they've been on it for 2-3 years. They've not gotten theirs, and the regulatory body is now saying that stop estimated billing. So how are they expected to bill customers?
No, the order is not to stop it outright for now.
Okay.
The order is that there are certain categories of customers that you must not give them estimated billing, because they have categorized electricity consumers into residents, those who are one phase, two phase, and the rest. They know the level of power that you consume, maybe like 40 kilowatts hour. You know, they know that you are not a big time consumer. So for those ones whose bills fall within like 2,000 naira a month, they can still give them estimated billing. But other categories of electricity consumers who consume way higher than those people, you cannot, you cannot give them estimated billing. So what they are saying now is, by April 2020, those ones you must give them meter. If you don't give them meter, they are not obligated to pay your estimated billing. They are not obligated to pay. So, and if after the new electricity tariff kicks in, you are still not in position to give them meter, then you will, the people can refuse to pay. If you issue estimated billing at that point, you can, the bill can be aggregated, and when you now give them that the meter, it can then be paid for. So I think the idea is to push these people as much as possible to give meters to every category of consumers, because they initially agreed to the idea of estimated billing. The regulator agreed to it back then, I think in 2012. But the way it is now, everyone knows that this has been abused, that people see so much corruption in the idea of estimated billing. And if you were, imagine a company like ours, if they were to give us estimated billing, you can imagine how the kind of money that we'll be paying every month. So they must, all those big time electricity consumers, they must first go and give them meters. You know,
to get accurate.
There's no way we can give everybody. Now.
They even do something that, let's say, the whole of Ikeja, they even say, okay, the whole of Ikeja, we expect to get 400 million from Ikeja this month. So they're going to share it. So, and a lot of people will tell you that they're paying for what they didn't use.
That's the problem that some neighborhoods are having. And it's not, my neighborhood is not excluded in that. The issue is that at the time they came for enumeration, they found out that the number of people who have prepaid meter is not, we are not as many as those who don't have. And then they've zeroed in that, okay, this is the certain, the number of, this is the certain amount that we are going to get from this area. But they found out that those of us who are using prepaid meters, of course, there's no way you can.
Yes.
Now, those who are not having prepaid meter, they will now distribute what they've estimated that they are going to make in that area with those who have prepaid meters. Therefore, the way they now did it now is they would rather not give the whole place light and give other people who are ready to pay. So you find out that even those of us who have prepaid meters, we are the losing end. We don't have light. And this was a confession one of their staff made to me. I said, Oga, you will not be having light every time because many the number of prepaid meters in that place is not as big as those who don't have. And our company has given us a target for your area. So you now want to punish those who have prepaid meter because of those who don't have.
Because they make more money on the estimated.
Exactly. And the question now is, what does it take to manufacture this prepaid meter? I thought there was a time they said companies have been licensed. I know there was a time as part of online of duty, there's a manufacturing plant or a storehouse somewhere in Oshodi that we went to. And the man was complaining that, look, this is prepaid meter everywhere. We are not selling. People, the discos are not buying. Why? Why are they not buying?
Unless they force them to.
Yes.
They have it on ground.
They have it on ground, but the discos are not buying. And they are not allowed to sell it to individuals.
The regulator is saying all other categories of consumers on higher tariff must be metered not later than 30th April. So such customers will not be liable to pay any estimated bill issued should they fail to supply their meters. It then said the customer shall remain connected to supply without further payment to the discos until a meter is installed.
But
which means you will continue to enjoy the
that is what I'm saying. They connect you, they connect them. They are saying, but they are not giving them
the regulator is saying that
yes,
they shall continue to enjoy light until you give them the meter.
But what the discos are doing now is what I've said is happening in my own community. They will not give us light because they know that those who don't have meters are more than those who are. So what do you do?
It's a big scam.
Babajide,
It's a big scam.
There's even a practice that when you move into a new apartment,
yes,
they will tell you that the person there was owing 400,000 naira.
That's a big problem. You must first do your
that you have to liquidate
random check before entering the place.
So, unless
look, and all these things, these things are done abroad. And it is not, there is no argument about it. Why is it that you can't do it? For instance, where you live.
I think even before this whole thing started, they should have insisted that those guys must give every electricity consumer prepaid meter before billing them.
Exactly.
They should have made it a condition. I'm telling you, know that look, you must every household must give them
the problem.
Meter.
And also when you are living in an area, you are restricted to one. You can't use Ikeja. If you are living, you can't use Ibadan. If you are in Ikeja, you can't. I mean, abroad, you can be using this here. Your neighbor is using another one. What is the problem?
Nigerians are very angry about what's going on.
Because they are exploited.
This is not what they expected.
They're being exploited every other time.
Something has to be done.
Thank you, Olayinka Oyegbile. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And BKO, thank you for always being there. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can watch Journalist Hangout on your platforms showing on the screen. We are on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.